No one person can achieve anything great on their own. Everyone needs a great team if you want to achieve great things. However, one person can make the difference between a good team and a great team. And that was a big breakthrough for me.
Wow.
Because leading by example, because I coach business owners, right? Individuals, teams, and businesses optimized towards your dreams. And half the business owners, it's like, listen, you want to know why you're not winning? You're not working. Like this whole earn more, work less thing, I'm so sorry, but that doesn't work unless you're willing to sign up for 3 decades. And most of the people that are saying earn more, work less are already 10 years into their journey. They already have a big brand. They already have a network. They already have a book of business. And so in the beginning, if you start a business to work less, I mean, don't start a business straight up, right? Because that's not real. Although later on, when you see Joe Rogan only doing podcasts, it's like, listen, he built that for 30 years. He was famous before he started podcasting. So it's very important for people to know, I don't want you to set yourself up for failure. Like the first decade is going to be brutal. And after that, you can work smarter, not harder. But the first decade, go into it grinding and growing.
Step into the world of success with Your Brand Amplified, the ultimate podcast designed to unravel the intricacies of thriving businesses. I'm your host, Annika Jackson, and I'm on a mission to uncover the stories, strategies, and secrets that have propelled entrepreneurs and business leaders to success.
I am thrilled to have Alan Lazaros on the show today. Alan, you share a first name with my father, who has not been with me for about 15 years. So I love meeting people who have his name and that spelling. So that's just a total side note I needed to give you. But welcome to Your Brand Amplified, and thank you so much for giving me some of your time today.
You are so incredibly welcome. Thank you for having me. I always want to start with gratitude because I started listening to podcasts 9 years ago, and they really helped me sort of reorchestrate my life in a much better direction after a tough car accident that I had. But thank you for that little anecdote about your father's name. It's a rare way to spell it, and thank you for having me. And we talked off air, you and I, about branding, and if you build a business underneath something that isn't of your essence, your authenticity, your integrity, it took me so many years to figure out what I'm really about. Yeah. And I started doing therapy in my 30s, and that really helped me a lot, really figure out what's in here. And then my business can be an amplification of that. So I love the idea of what you're doing. And so I just wanted to share that.
Oh, thank you. Let's talk about you. You are the CEO of Next Level University. You were many things before this, right? You started out as an engineer. You have a bachelor in science, electrical and computer engineering. You have an MBA. So you went down that track, engineer, product manager, sales engineer. And then you decided to leave that world, become the CEO, the founder, and the co-host of Next Level University and the accompanying podcast. So you just talked about a pivotal moment in your life, which was a car accident. Will you share your journey a little bit more with the audience into what happened in your life and led you into the world of today?
Absolutely. So the first thing I want to share is I'm trying to condense 35 years. I'm going to be 36 in November, 35 years into 5 minutes here. So I apologize in advance if I'm long-winded at all. I'll try to give you the story in a 5-minute version, the best of my abilities. Now, the first thing to understand is that I didn't understand any of this at the time. I have since rewatched the movie of my own life over and over and over again, particularly in my 30s doing therapy. And now I feel like I understand it at a much deeper level, whereas at the time it was figuring it out. So if I sound like one of those speakers who has it all figured out, just understand that it's only in hindsight that this is clear. So when I was 2 years old, definitely born into an adverse situation. So when I was 2 years old, my father passed away in a car accident when he was 28. It sounds like you also lost your father, so you can relate to that mortality. And I had an older sister who was 6 and a mom who was 31. She was a stay-at-home mom. And then I had a stepfather from age 3 to 14. So my birth father's name is John McCorkle. He was part of a big Irish Catholic family. Jim, Joe, John, Jane, Joan, Jeanette. Yeah, 6 kids, all J. And so when we were the Lazaroses, so I took my stepfather's last name around age 7. And we were sort of being the Lazaroses, so we didn't associate a ton with the McCorkles while my stepdad was around. And again, didn't understand this at the time, but 14 comes around. I'm about to be a freshman in high school, and my stepfather leaves my family. And I playfully refer to 3 to 14 as boats and BS. So this is mid to late 90s, early 2000s, dot-com bubble. My stepdad worked for a company called AGFA that did hospital computers. And so in the US in particular, you can study this, the dot-com bubble, the 90s were just boom times. I mean, everyone had money. It was wild. And so we did very well. It was boats, ski trips. We had a motorcycle. We had a yacht. My mom drove a BMW, trucks, snowmobiles, all this stuff to... When he left, he took 90% of the income with him. And I went from Xbox, Dreamcast, early Christmas presents to I get free lunch at school now because our income is so low. My mom trades in her BMW for a little Honda Civic. We're not going to starve by any means, but it was definitely a different life. There was no more boats and ski trips and that kind of thing. So he got the yacht and the apartment building. We got the house and the dog. 14 was the hardest year of my life, and I didn't realize this at the time. Stepdad leaves. Takes his entire extended family with him. I've never seen any of them since.
Wow.
I have spoken to my stepdad briefly on Facebook Messenger. I still don't associate with the McCorkles, my birth father's side. That same year, sister moves out, older sister, with her older boyfriend. Same year, my mom gets in a fight with my Aunt Sandy, her sister. My Aunt Sandy ostracizes us from that side of the family. I have, to this day, only seen 2 members from that side of the family, and one of them was twice. And 8 years later, one of my cousins came back. His name's Jeff. And he has a son named Dan, which is in the story later. But basically, I lost 3 families by the time I'm 14.
Yeah.
Didn't understand that until my 30s, by the way. Now, here's the deal. So there's 4 trauma responses. You can study this. There's fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. I didn't know about fawn. Fawn is you're just a social coward. You just appease. You don't want anyone to... Don't poke the bear type of thing. However, when I was behind the scenes by myself, I became this weird, esoteric superachiever. And at the time, I didn't think anything of it, but my trauma response was fawn socially and fight. Aim higher, work harder, get smarter. Aim higher, work harder, get smarter. Aim higher, work harder, get smarter. I mean, to a drastic extent. And it's only in my 30s where I really realized, oh, I'm a weirdo. That's weird. So here's what I did. I ended up going to high school, and I got straight A's through all of high school. I got what's called the President's Award. It's behind me, signed by George W. Bush. That's how few people actually get that. But ultimately, it means you get all A's for all report cards, 16 report cards straight, which... So when my stepdad left, my dream was to go to WPI. WPI is Worcester Polytechnic Institute. It's one of the best engineering colleges in the world. It's a tech school. And it was $50,000 a year, and this is back then. And so I went from I can't wait to get in. When my stepdad left, it was, even if I do get in, how am I going to go, right? So I get in. I was the obnoxious kid at the award ceremony that just got up over and over and over and over again for a lot of awards. There were several of us that got most of the awards, right? The 20% that gets 80% of the rewards, I was in that. And I got a bunch of scholarships and a bunch of financial aid, so I was able to go. I got my computer engineering degree, and then I stayed for my master's in business, and I was off to the races at this point. Now, I'm used to being a broke high school and college student. So 21st century, computer engineer with an MBA combination, you just do really well. And I also realize now in hindsight that I was very hardworking and very intelligent, even though back then I didn't know that. I guess I kind of did, but I didn't acknowledge it. So I worked for a bunch of tech companies, as you mentioned. I worked for iRobot. I worked for Sensata Technologies. I worked for a company called Oz Development. I worked for a company called Lens Americas. I was a global product manager. I was a product engineer. I was sales engineer. I did inside sales, then outside sales. I eventually landed at a company called Cognex. And at this point, and again, this is so interesting in hindsight, I'm in my early 20s. I live on a lake with my girlfriend at the time. Her name was Courtney. And I was a broke high school and college student. So in my mind, getting wealthy was the answer. Because when I was 14 and my stepdad left, and this wasn't super conscious, but I now realize, I saw the future and I went, uh-oh. So there's no trust fund, there's no dad, no one's going to save us. So if it's going to be, it's up to me. And I took on so much responsibility, and I didn't realize that. The whole little man of the house at 14 type of thing. And so I did. I was off to the races. So eventually, I'm in my early 20s. I'm working for a company called Cognex. They sell industrial automation equipment into manufacturing facilities all across the world. Machine vision is their thing. And so the eyes of a robot is a good way to explain it. But I was basically managing, so we started a little inside sales engineering team, and then I got promoted to outside sales. My territory was Vermont, Western Massachusetts, and Connecticut. I'm in my early 20s. I paid off 84 grand worth of college debt in a single year, which is, I now realize is wild. I invested the rest in I didn't have any kids. I lived on, my rent was $500. I split it with Courtney, and I drove a 2004 Volkswagen Passat, which I'll get to how beneficial that was later. But it was $5,000 cash. I was so used to living broke, it didn't make any sense to do anything except for invest my money. So I had $150,000 in an investment account for Vanguard. I bought a bunch of tech companies that I knew would win, and I say no in quotes because no one really knows, but you can bet on companies that you think will win. And I also, tech always came easy to me, so I kind of understood, like, these companies are probably going to win, these companies are probably not, that whole thing. And I just, at that point, was high school friends, college friends, corporate friends, working, too many friends, everything for everybody. I achieved a lot of my dreams, not all of them, but I was very successful externally and deeply unfulfilled internally, but I didn't know it. I didn't really know that. And I was certainly not less fulfilled than the people I was around. Then I get in my car accident. So I'm 26 at the time. This is 2015. Which for those of us that are older now, 2015 feels like yesterday, which is interesting. That's 9 years ago. So I'm going to be 36 in November, so it'll be 10 years ago soon. And so I was 26, and I was up in New Hampshire with my little cousin. The cousin Jeff, who came back from my mother's side, he has a son named Dan, and we were playing Call of Duty, not drinking or partying, and we were going to TGI Fridays. I looked down at the GPS. I look up, dark winter night. I was supposed to yield. I ended up on the wrong side of the road. I didn't yield, my fault. The winter was so bad that the snowbanks were covering the yield sign. I looked up and I saw the brightest lights I'd ever seen, and it was what I thought was a Mack truck. Two things saved my life. Number one, it was not a Mack truck, fortunately, because if it was, I would not be here. That's my calculation truth, my mathematical truth. It was a lift-kitted pickup truck. There's a lot of those in New Hampshire. And number two, head-on collision. And number two, the Volkswagen Passat. Thank you, Volkswagen. I mean, I used to call this car the tank. It was a German-engineered steel trap of a car. It was a heavy car. The whole front end is completely smashed in, but the frame stayed and the airbags deployed. So thank you, Volkswagen, because if I was in a little Honda Civic or something, there's no way. And so my little cousin hurt his knee on the airbag. I hurt my face on the airbag. So physically, we were okay. Fortunately, no permanent damage. However, my dad died in a car when he was 28. I'm 26 at the time. I've seen pictures of his car. My car doesn't look very different. So I'm just completely disassociating and absolutely questioning existential crisis, quarter life existential crisis. What did it all mean? What was it all for? Filled with regret. And I playfully say this too to my team. I say, listen, I'm always talking about the mistakes I've made, but I don't think I made any more or less mistakes than other people. Those are the things that need to transform. So I constantly live between frustration and innovation. And I think what I realized at 26 is, listen, no one's going to help you be fulfilled. You have to be fulfilled on your own accord. And you've been achievement-oriented, and you've been improvement-oriented, and you've been goal-oriented, and you were an engineer, and you went to school, and you did the things you were supposed to do. But deep down, you know you're meant for more, and you know you're not living up to your potential. And that's really what it comes down to. Like, a lot of people are impressed with me, and I'm grateful. Thank you. It's not about that. It's about, I know I'm only playing at 10%. I know there's so much more that I'm capable of. And I knew I wasn't living up to my potential. I was drinking too much and too often. Yes. I had a bunch of friends that, quite frankly, a lot of them, as scary as this is to say on a public medium, are going nowhere. I surrounded myself with the wrong people. And so after that, I flipped the script. I actually started my own company. I actually went past broke, and I was super fulfilled, happy, healthy, productive, fitness model, fitness competitor, fitness coach, but I was unsuccessful. So I was super fulfilled and unsuccessful. So these are the 4 buckets that I give to people. I say all of us start out in the first one, unfulfilled and unsuccessful. We don't know who we are. We don't know what we're doing. We're all figuring it out. The second bucket is you end up successful but unfulfilled. So externally successful, but you're sitting there going, 6 figures right out of college. Okay, that's what I wanted. Okay, 1% global earner. Global, not in the U.S. because the U.S. is 450. But I went from 65 to 85, 85 to 105, 105 to 125, 125 to 180 in my early 20s. So I remember at one point, there was a big referral program at Cognex, and I was getting $12,000 checks biweekly. And I didn't have a mortgage, right? I don't have kids. So for me, it was like, whoa. And so anyways, I went from successful and deeply unfulfilled, external success, deeply unfulfilled, to the opposite, deeply fulfilled. But how am I going to sustain this? And so now I'm finally, and this took so many years. So this is almost 10 years later. But in my 30s, I started to be both successful and fulfilled. And if you can authentically look in the mirror and say, I want my future to be an amplified version of what already is, you are in the 4th bucket. That's success and fulfillment. External success and internal fulfillment. That is what everyone is after. And most of us are good at one. I meet people that are deeply fulfilled, but they aren't good at the economy. I meet people that are wealthy as hell and deeply unfulfilled. Very few of us are good both professionally and personally, both externally and internally. And that's what I help people with now.
It's so interesting that you're only in your 30s, really, but the experiences that you've had, to me, seem like people I've spoken to, because I'm in my 40s, but people who are in their 40s, in their 50s even, who've had all of this career success, who are very externally fulfilled, and maybe they have a big need for it. I spoke to a man yesterday. He has 9 kids. His wife homeschools them because you can't try to coordinate 9 kids' schedules would be a lot. So he has a lot of people depending on him. Yes. He's been in the same career field for 20-something years, is an expert, makes a lot of money, but is at that point where he's going, how do I make money doing what I really love, and is scared to take the leap. And you, it sounds like maybe you were a little bit scared to take the leap, but you also knew that you had to, because
definitely,
if you stay unfulfilled, that's when depression, anxiety, a lot of other things come in, self-harm.
I would love to say that I was so courageous and all this stuff, when in reality, I was more scared not to take the leap than I was to take it. And that's what mortality will do.
Yeah.
That's mortality motivation. It's the pain of not changing became greater than the fear of changing.
Yeah.
And people ask me this all the time. Well, how do I do that same thing without a car accident? First of all, you can't. Secondly, you can't that quickly, but you can incrementally. And so there's a lot of neuroscience under this, is adults change through massive trauma. And that's why it's so hard to unlearn and so hard to rewire. And so death of a pet, death of a loved one, facing mortality yourself, an illness, these are the things that transform us the most, because all of a sudden we're playing to win again instead of playing not to lose.
Yeah.
And I was playing not to lose friends, playing not to lose family, playing not to lose XYZ, status, blah, blah, blah. What a waste of my time. And now I am actually playing for what I've always cared about most deep down, even though I didn't share it because I was a coward, is reaching my potential.
Yeah.
I have this written on a whiteboard in the corner of my office. You are here to reach your own unique potential. Unique is underlined, and help others do the same. Everything else is secondary. And the truth of the matter is that's my calling. That's not everyone's calling. If that was everyone's calling, I would probably have 500 clients. Not everyone cares about their potential, unfortunately. I wish they did. I always tell Kev, my business partner, I say, we're selling kale outside of a candy store, son. This is brutal. But the truth is, I can't do anything else because it just doesn't fulfill me.
Yeah.
So now I'm a business coach. So you have what you're passionate about. You have helping other people with it, which is purpose. And then you have profitability. So I took my love of self-improvement and packaged it into business coaching because that's what the economy will actually pay for. But ultimately, I think all of us want to get to a place where we turn our passion into purpose, into profit. And then the profit feeds the passion and the purpose. And so you help more and more and more people in either more breadth or more depth. So breadth would be a wider net to more people for a smaller price, or more depth for a higher price. And some businesses are both, right?
It's interesting when we have those pinnacle moments, because I was making 6 figures in my early 20s without a college degree, but decided to go back to school, then decided, well, then I got married, had a daughter, had a small business that it didn't really make sense for the time it was taking away from my family. So I went out of the workforce. Fast forward 8 years ago, got divorced, right? I went from a lifestyle like you did in your teens of status, being in newspapers, very wealthy, trips all over, designer clothes, collecting art from local artists, the whole thing, and being a big philanthropist, to, oh, now I have to start over. I don't have access to any of this. I was a second wife, so my prenup, was not favorable. Yeah. Because I never thought I'd be the person who got divorced. And 8 years later, I'm still on that journey. So it almost feels like, while I'm almost 50, I've had to relearn a lot of things and figure out how to be the person I really want to be. And it's been remarkable, because when you do that, you realize, when we moved back to Los Angeles from Houston a couple of years post-divorce, and I was like, wait, I can just sit at my house. I don't have to go out with my hair and makeup done every day in case I get photographed and at whatever event. I don't even have to go to those events. Not that they're bad, right? But I could just be seen for who I am, my own value as a person, not for the money I had previously. And that was such a difference, and it was just such a relief. But it's still that process of learning what you said. Here's what I'm passionate about. Here's my skill set. How do I monetize that, right? And so I think that's a journey we're always in discovery of.
100%. And to me, it's, what are you optimizing for? So there's 4 modalities of thinking, and I want to make this clear to all of your listeners. So the first one is math and numbers and formulas. That's the rarest. Most people don't think in math, numbers, and formulas, which is why most engineers are esoteric weirdos that no one likes. So I see you engineers, low self-worth, but we believe in ourselves a lot because we can calculate everything. Number 2 is energy. That's the one I sucked at. I'm getting much better now. Vibe, energy. Number 3, and that's energy/intuition. Women tend to be better at that one. Number 3 is words and concepts. That's the common one. Words and concepts construct your emotions, the constructive theory of emotion, all that stuff. Most people think in conversations. And then there's the 4th one, which is vision, images, and pictures. And so we all have all 4, but we have one really good one and one really sucky one. Most people's sucky one is the numbers, rationality, math, and formulas. And I always use a playful example. I always say, well, Canada has 39 million people in it and tons of land. And the Philippines have 110 million people, probably 115 now, and very little land. So don't go to the Philippines to buy land, and don't go to Canada for a big economy. I'm playfully saying that because most people are making decisions based on emotions, not based on logic, and it gets you in a lot of trouble. And so for the engineers out there, we are intelligent. You just have to not be a coward and actually say the truth. Turns out I'm a very competent, behind-the-scenes, intelligent person, but then when I'm in social settings, I'm such a coward that I don't tell anyone anything. Oh. I contort myself into something I'm not, right? And you talked about how you did that a bit. But ultimately, what are you optimizing for? And it's a weird question for a lot of people, but I'm optimizing for fulfillment now. I'm optimizing for alignment. I'm optimizing for my potential and my greatest level of contribution. But before that, before 26, I was optimizing for fun. I had a paradigm of achievement first, friends second, fun third. So of course I had tons of friends, tons of fun, and tons of achievement. Cognex's motto is work hard, play hard. I used to say work hard, play harder.
Yeah.
That's not a coincidence. It's an unconscious paradigm. And I grew up with my mom and stepdad who loved to party, and they did not get along. And that's a polite way to put it on a public medium. And I am not a huge fan of my childhood. There was some good stuff, but in hindsight, it was terrible in way beyond what I can talk about here.
Yeah.
However, I didn't choose, I want to believe in achievement, and I want to believe in fun, and I want to believe in friends. That just is what I grew up in. And when I woke up after the car accident, I shifted my paradigm. And my new paradigm is maximize my own unique potential, maximize my greatest level of contribution, and maximize my quality of life rather than achieve at the expense of my core values or achieve at the expense of my fulfillment or that kind of thing. So to me, I think most people are deeply unfulfilled, and they don't know it. And I understand because I was too. And unfortunately, the people who influence people the most tend to be the ones with the cars and the clothes and the homes and the stuff that you're doing. So the question becomes, how do we become deeply fulfilled and also live a high quality of life that can influence people? And I think that in that order is valuable. And that's what I'm trying to do myself and help other people with.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about that. So what is the first step when somebody says or has read your material or has taken a survey or has listened to your podcast and goes, oh, fulfillment is the way to maximize my own potential. And with that, I will be able to build, align my values with what I'm doing for the world of work and what I'm doing in my life. And that is how I will achieve financial success, right? But I'll also be internally successful.
So the main core that I've found, and I want to make this as clear as possible just because I don't want anyone to think I'm another talking head on the internet. I have 27 coaching clients right now that I coach currently on my roster, and I've coached hundreds over the years, and I was a mentor before that. So it's been 9 years, basically 10 years of pouring into people's lives to try to help them be more successful and more fulfilled. From the moment that car accident happened to now, I've been basically just helping people reach their unique potential. So I have so much data and we also do metrics and habit tracking, so I actually have the literal data too. But ultimately, all different backgrounds, all different countries, all different people from all over the world. I have a 20-person team, all different cultures. So you realize these common themes that are attributed to everybody. And life is this weird duality between principles that apply to all of us and how you uniquely put them in your context and your circumstances and your genetics and your goals and dreams and all that. And so what I can tell you to cast a wider net here is this will apply to everybody. And a lot of people think of, I don't know if it's Ikigai or something like that. Not Ikigai. Is it Ikigai? With the Venn diagrams? Yeah?
Oh.
Okay, so...
Finding, yeah. I know what you're talking, yeah.
So I have my own little Venn diagram. I try to make things more simple and more practical. So there's a Venn diagram I did with a client just the other day. Her name's Linda. The upper left is what is meaningful work for you. And the word is work. Meaningful work, meaning it's still work, it's still hard. That whole, well, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. Yeah, BS, okay? Absolutely not. I coach 27 individuals and I adore it and it's super meaningful, but trust me, I'm struggle bussing sometimes and I don't always want to show up. I'm always glad I did. You don't know you love someone or something because you always want to do it. You know you love someone or something because you're always glad you did. That's like a really key thing there. And for the married couples out there, you understand what I'm saying because you don't always want to do it, but you're always glad you did. That kind of thing. Yeah. Okay, so, and I'm not married yet, so I need to make that clear because leading by example. I can't speak about something unless I'm leading by example, but I am with a partner who I've been with for 5 years who we intend. So it's good.
Amazing.
Okay, so the first Venn diagram is what's meaningful work to you. Meaning you're always glad after. You don't always want to do it, but you're always glad after. The second one is, what are you ridiculously good at? Now, this requires statistics. The bell curve. You need to be at the top of the bell curve. If you're not in the top 10%, you're just not going to win. So if you're not a strong speaker, you're going to have a really hard time. It's hard to win in podcasting as an excellent orator. You think you're going to do it as a bad one? Right. No chance, right? So you have to be extremely, extremely good, yes, compared to others. In real estate, when you go to buy a home, you compare to the comps. The comps are what other homes in that area sold for. And so they say comparison's the thief of joy and all this stuff. Listen, in the economy, comparison is necessary. It's a competitive environment that is also collaborative, and you're going to buy an iPhone or an Android. You're not going to buy Jeff's phone because no one knows who Jeff is, okay? So whatever it is, so number one is what's meaningful work to you. Number two, circle, is what are you ridiculously good at? I'm talking if I line you up in front of 100 people, you're top 10 at least globally. The last one, this is the hard one. What will the economy actually pay you for? See, I'm obsessed with self-improvement and I'm so good at helping people improve their lives, but the economy won't pay for that. So I'm a business coach who helps business owners improve themselves, because when they improve themselves, they can go from 100 to 200K or from 1 million to 2 million. And I can get paid a lot more doing that. Whereas I started off as a fitness coach, went broke, like fitness coach, mindset coach, peak performance coach, life coach, business consultant. I eventually landed business coach. And the reason business coach is because I can authentically say, you will make your money back and then some, not just long-term, but short-term. I can promise you metrics, habits, identity. We can get you dialed in. We can crush it in Q4. So it took me so long to realize it doesn't matter how passionate I am about self-improvement. No one cares, Alan. But they do care about growing and scaling their businesses, particularly online in the 21st century as an engineer who grew up with video games. So you have to find the epicenter of those three circles. And unfortunately, most of us are deeply unfulfilled because what the economy will pay you for, not in the past, but now and in the future, is actually not congruent with what you're passionate about. If you find something you're obsessed with, that you're really good at, and the economy will pay you for, you lock in, baby, and you stay there, and you build a business and a team around you to support you. That is world class right there. But if you don't, you're going to be in trouble because you're either going to end up the broke artist who loves their thing, but no one else does, or you're going to end up the super successful, unfulfilled person that I was.
Yeah. You work with 27 people individually right now, and you have a team. So have you taught other people? Is there a certification process that you take other people through to become one of your other coaches?
So I have something right now called Next Level Certified Coaching. I currently have 3 individuals that I'm beta testing it with.
Huh.
Lizzie, Nicole, and Amy. We were actually on a call earlier that I told you about. Coaching about coaching is like meta coaching. It's fascinating. And you don't realize how good you are at something until you teach it and you go, oh, no one understands. It's because it comes naturally to you.
Right.
So for me, coaching is this simple framework of someone comes to you and tells you what their goal is. And then you dial in the metrics, the habits, and the identity necessary to achieve the goal. And then we track the metrics and habits. They become the person, or you realize the goal is not congruent with who they really are, which I know is the work you do, which most people in life aren't going to achieve their goals. You can look up the stats. January 1st, I did a meetup on setting clear goals for 2024. This is 10 months ago now, which is wild. Wow. But I looked it up. Only 4% of people set and achieve goals. Latest data. 4%. To me, there's a lot of reasons for that. The 3 reasons I've got it boiled down to is, number 1, the goal is predicated on low self-awareness. If I have a goal to beat LeBron James at basketball, I'm going to lose forever. It's not congruent with my genetics. It's not congruent with my potential. So most people want to believe the story they tell themselves about themselves is either, there's 2 main forms of stories you tell yourself. Mm-hmm. You either think you suck or you think you're awesome. Both are not true statistically in the world. And so you have to, I feel like it's like a self-driving Tesla that has inaccurate data. You keep driving off a cliff and then blaming the world, when in reality, you just have low self-awareness. You don't have an accurate current location. You don't have an accurate goal based on that self-awareness. And then you don't have accurate data on the terrain and the mountains and the lakes. And so you can't expect the Tesla to not drive off a cliff when it has the wrong data on the GPS. And I feel like most of us think so inaccurately about ourselves, about other people, and about the world. I know some people that have a high self-awareness, but they don't know how the economy works. So I have to teach them science, technology, engineering, mathematics, business, and finance. I know some people who know everything about the economy, but they're immature children who still play video games. And they need to level up and actually understand themselves. They don't know how to lead. They don't know how to inspire. They don't know the human condition. They don't know psychology. And so for me, it's how do you inner engineer a human being to become the type of person that is aligned with their true potential, and then set goals in alignment with that, and then consistently track metrics, habits, and then work on their identity toward it. And that's ultimately what my coaching program is about. But I don't have like a certification program right now that anyone could join. Okay. What I'm doing right now with my current team, we have 20 people, and 3 of them are in my Next Level Certified Coaching program. And I'm going to certify them because they're on the core NLU team. I don't know how comfortable I am with certifying other coaches yet that are going to coach on my behalf, because I think there's a low standard in the coaching space that I've seen, and I want to set a new standard, but I want to do it internally with my core team.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's very smart because, I think everybody needs a coach, at least one.
Agreed.
But I also know that I've tried working with certain people where I thought I was going to get one thing, and then I get in and I'm like, this is not what I was expecting. This is not what I signed up for. We did not agree that we're going down this road, so we're not going to do this.
Good for you.
And then other people, it's hard to do, but you have to. If you're spending a lot of money on something and then you're not getting the return that you need, internally and externally. Now let's talk about, though, you have your program. You also have 2 podcasts.
Yes, you did your research. Whoa, I really appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I do have 2 podcasts. I don't want to interrupt you. Did you have a
No, you've recorded over 1,800 episodes, so you've been also prolific in doing this for a while. You have Next Level University and then podcast growth. So can you talk about each one? Which one started first? Did it start when you started your organization, or?
I love it. I'm so grateful to be able to help people reach their potential. So the podcasts that you're referring to, so I have 2, and Kevin does Podcast Growth University. Okay. It's underneath the company Next Level University. Yeah. So Next Level University is going to be 3 podcasts. I'm working on my 3rd leg now because we actually have a podcast production company that produces 50 shows, including 3 of our own.
Nice.
And so I'm a client at my own company. It's really cool. So NLU, Next Level University, is the main one. That's the one with 1,800 episodes. And that's about success, fulfillment, achievement, self-awareness, reaching your potential. Mm-hmm. Then he has something called Podcast Growth University. We call them listeners, longers, and business owners. So listeners are people who want to learn from us. Mm-hmm. Longers are people who want to build their own podcasts in their own communities based on their core values. And business owners are people who have skin in the game, have real businesses who need to generate revenue. And so we have Next Level University for the listeners. We have Podcast Growth University for the longers. And then we have Business Growth University that I haven't started yet because I'm overwhelmed. That's going to be for business owners. So his is Start, Grow, Scale, Monetize Your Podcast, helping people with that. Mine is Start, Grow, Scale, Monetize Your Business. Mm-hmm. And then I have another company called The We, which is with my beautiful girlfriend, Emilia. I would say future wife, and then people congratulate me. I'm like, wait, we're not engaged yet. We've talked about it. We're visioneering our future, engineering our vision. So we have something called the Conscious Couples Podcast, and we've been coaching intimate relationship couples for 3 years now. We just started it every Saturday just to talk to couples and help them, and it's just been this whole thing now. So the Conscious Couples Podcast is essentially helping people reach their potential in their intimate relationship. Next Level University is helping individuals reach their potential. Podcast Growth University is helping influencers reach their potential. And Business Growth University is going to be helping business owners reach their potential. And so the reaching your potential is the main core value underneath all of it. And it's really gotten massively overwhelming, but in a really good way, Yeah.
Well, and that's the one part. So you have the coaching, you have the podcasts, you have community, and it looks like you have meetups and book clubs and Next Level Nation. And then you also do outside speaking. There's so much that you have. And I will say I have your website up. So
yeah.
That's why I know all this.
Yeah. Wow, she really knows us.
But it's really beautifully laid out. It's very clear to see what you do. But it's a lot. And I can understand why you need a large team to handle everything that you do.
Yeah, we have such a good team. I realized this, and thank you so much, by the way. I'm grateful to have the website up. Not a lot of people know a lot of what we do, and that's growing, which I'm grateful for. But sometimes you do interviews, and no one even looks at your stuff. So they just, unfortunately. So you obviously did your research, so thank you. But ultimately, my team, I realized this breakthrough recently. Because you hear the quote of no one person can achieve anything great, and that's true. Yeah. But I'm a big fan of duality. So here's what I say. No one person can achieve anything great on their own. Everyone needs a great team if you want to achieve great things. However, one person can make the difference between a good team and a great team. And that was a big breakthrough for me.
Wow.
Because leading by example, because I coach business owners, right? Individuals, teams, and businesses optimized towards your dreams. And half the business owners, it's like, listen, you want to know why you're not winning? You're not working. Like this whole earn more, work less thing, I'm so sorry, but that doesn't work unless you're willing to sign up for 3 decades. And most of the people that are saying earn more, work less are already 10 years into their journey. They already have a big brand. They already have a network. They already have a book of business. And so in the beginning, if you start a business to work less, don't start a business straight up, right? Because that's not real. Although later on, when you see Joe Rogan only doing podcasts, it's like, listen, he built that for 30 years. He was famous before he started podcasting. So it's very important for people to know, I don't want you to set yourself up for failure. Like the first decade's going to be brutal. And after that, you can work smarter, not harder. But the first decade, go into it grinding and growing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really good advice. Well, we're going to lead everybody to nextleveluniverse.com, of course, to learn more about you, your business partner, all the different things that you're doing and offering to the world. So I just want to ask you, because I know I've taken a lot of your time, which I'm grateful that you had it to give today. Is there one way people can get started on their journey to fulfillment?
So I would say, I playfully joke, I say that the people who want a coach need a therapist. That was me. I had dozens of mentors and coaches, but I needed a therapist. And the people who want therapists actually probably need a coach. And what's the difference between a coach and a therapist? A coach is more goal-oriented and more future-oriented and more success-oriented. And a therapist is more learning about yourself and going into your past and your trauma and your challenges and how you work. And all of us need both, but all of us are usually righty or lefty. So work on the weak hand, because in the 21st century, we need people who are both professionally developed and personally developed, and we need leaders who are advocating for working on your weaknesses, because I didn't have a therapist and I do now, and I pay out of pocket for it. Her name's Carol, and it's been tremendous. And I wanted more coaches. I had dozens of millionaire mentors and coaches, and in hindsight, it was a therapist that was my big unlock. And Kev was the opposite, my business partner. He had a therapist. He needed coaches and mentors. He needed to learn success. Like, some people just don't know how to succeed. The how has never been my issue. It's the inner stuff of, oh, maybe I am a coward. Okay, wow, maybe I am dimming my light. Okay, wow, maybe I am afraid to offend people. I want to help them grow, but I don't want to make them uncomfortable. Well, that seems like an issue. And so, yeah, that would be my last piece of advice is get a coach or a therapist that you trust, who is competent and who wants to see you win and wants to see you flourish. And if it's the right fit, I'm telling you, it'll unlock everything.
Fantastic. And do you have a favorite quote, mantra? I know you gave us some words from your whiteboard, but I want to see if there's one last other thing you want to share that helps you live every day with intentionality and keep going.
Yeah, the one that always comes up is, your life is your responsibility. It might not have been my fault that I lost my father when I was 2. It wasn't my fault that my stepdad left, but it is my responsibility to make a life out of that. And I actually think that the people who are grinding and growing, as hard as that is, are always going to be the envy of the people who are sitting around feeling sorry for themselves. And I think that you can have a bigger, better, brighter future, but it starts with taking personal responsibility, and it starts with self-discipline and consistency and work ethic and these things that are hard.
Yeah.
And I think that we have gotten a little bit complacent in the 21st century. And I think we lost sight of what a good day's hard work is. And I really think that a day of hard work is virtuous, as much as it's cool to say I only worked 4 hours this week and I made $100,000. Like, to me, that has nothing to do with maximizing your potential, and it's certainly not going to fulfill you. So that's what I would end with.
Amazing. Alan, thank you so much for giving us your time. And thank you to everybody who's watching or listening to this episode of Your Brand Amplified. I will be back again tomorrow with another amazing guest to share their story, what they're passionate about, and give you some tips and tricks to have a better life and business.
Thanks for listening or watching to this episode of Your Brand Amplified. Don't forget to leave us a rating or review on your favorite podcast listening platform. And if you want to learn more, check us out at yourbrangamplified.com.